was popping. So I came across this heated debate between Anton Daniels and Yada. It's a very long video, but this is just one segment of the video. And there's been some interesting stuff to talk about here. So what the role of, like real men, and should men pay 100% of the bills? But there's this section in the segment that they're going to like this religious kind of discussion of the days of like Adam and Eve, what transpired in the garden. So we're going to take a listen and I'll give you my take on what I think. But yeah, it's a very interesting segment, so we'll just take a look.
Because when we talk about should men pay 100% of the bills, I'm assuming that means based on the context that you just gave.
It's based off of your circumstance and situation. Everyone is different and nobody is a monolith.
My brother.
Nobody is a monolith.
Okay.
I love how he put so much passion into his words. But when God created man, God gave man a purpose. And what was the purpose?
So here we
What
go.
was the purpose? He placed that man in a garden. What's this? That's a tree. What's this? Those are clouds. What's that? That's a sky. What's that? That's a bear.
That's not what happened.
Listen to
you
me.
Don't even know the
Man,
word of
listen
God.
to me.
You don't even know the word of
Listen
God,
to
but
me,
I'ma let you
brother.
cook.
Listen to me. And when God seen that he was fit to represent himself as a man, he put him to rest. And from that rib, he took Eve. Now, this is a fact. Now we have to understand, what does it mean when you create a woman from the rib? What is a rib? A rib protects the internal organs, the heart and the rib. If the rib is mishandled, it fractures, it breaks. And what does that do to the man? It leaves him vulnerable. It leaves him hurt. But if a man handles this rib, protects this rib, uplifts this rib, guides this rib, loves this rib, this woman is able to become something greater than what she was created, which uplifts the man himself. So God gave a man responsibility before he gave him a woman. He didn't say, here's Adam and here's Eve. He says, here's Adam and here's a responsibility. And then when God was seen that he was fit to be considered a man and a head, which God is the head of man and man is the head of woman, he then gave God Eve. And then what happened, brother? And then what happened?
You tell me. Because I'm going to add the context. I want you to finish.
We can go in deep. If you want chapters, whatever, we can do this. But I need every young man listening to me that was raised in a home without a father. Young girls that was raised in homes without fathers. Your mother is divine greatness. Your mother is beautiful. I don't care what no man says about you, your mother, or where you can go. Strive to elevate. Strive to become the best version you are before you get into a relationship, so you don't have to drag a woman through the same things your fathers did to your mothers. Love yourself enough to provide for yourself. So when you get into a relationship with a woman, you don't have to abandon her or drag her through your turmoils. All praises is completely due to the Most High. Go ahead, my brother.
You know what's so funny about that story, the part that he left out?
What's that?
Is that she hearkened to the voice of the serpent. And the man wasn't there to protect her. God was.
I listened to what Anton just said right there. It's very, very key to this detail. That the man wasn't there to protect her, God was there. So just keep that little sentence in mind, what you just said. Because at the end, I'll go into my opinion and you see what I mean. You see what I mean. Because Yada said something and Anton responded and it pretty much proved the point that he was saying right here. Just this very sentence right here.
They had everything. They didn't even know that they was naked. He made her because he said that it wasn't good for man to be alone. And he didn't point to figure it out. He let him name every single thing that was in the garden.
That's very true. The Most High came to Adam and basically Adam named every single thing in the garden. Mind you, including the serpent. Because snakes was already inside the garden. But what a lot of people don't know is that snakes weren't always snakes like you see them today, like crawling on the stomach. They were not always like that. But yeah, we'll get into discussion after that.
And the context matters. And this is what happens when you know your word. And the interesting part about it is the devil know parts of the Bible too.
Oh, man.
The devil know parts of the Bible too. So the serpent itself was able to beguile Eve because he understood what God told them not to do. To not to eat from that tree. Not to eat that fruit. And although she had all of the covering that she could ever want and need, there is no greater provider than God himself. And you know what she did? She was disobedient. She still ate, and not only did she eat, she went and she gave it to her husband too, which then got them kicked out, and then they had to put cherubims around the tree of life so that they wouldn't eat it and become gods themselves. That's scripture. And then their children was raised up to then kill one another because one of them was jealous of the other. And then the children then became generational curses as a result of what the beguilement was from the wife, from Eve.
Brother.
No.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay.
That's literally what happened. So my point is that context matters.
And yeah, this is another thing as well. Is when you're reading like the Bible, for example, because I don't read the King James Version, because that Bible has all sorts of agendas and stuff. I don't really read that Bible. Either the Tanakh or the Brenton Septuagint, because these well, that's my personal choice. There's a lot more revealed in those books than in the King James Version, because that book is twisted to suit someone's agenda. But like he's saying right here, when you're reading the Word of God, you need to read it with context, because some people read the Bible and just read it word for word, and they take it like literally just word for word, exactly as it is there. But when you're reading from some sort of intelligence, you don't just read just like that without even thinking. You have to read with context in mind, because by doing that, it opens a lot of doors and opens a lot of understanding as well.
It's not just looking at it on the surface.
Definitely.
It's deep diving into the understanding. You need to get a concordance. You should get a concordance, because I don't know what book you read, I don't know what version you understand, but you got to get a concordance to understand what words mean. And you need to understand exactly what God instructed Adam to do, because he wasn't disobedient. He was punished for the thing that you tell women to do and you tell men to do. You said, people sent me a video of you.
The Britannica Encyclopedia is a very good, pretty much a good dictionary of words as well. That's something I would recommend to anyone to get.
Saying a man should give 100% of his check to his wife. God punished Adam because he hearkened to the voice of his woman, and he wasn't the leader that you saying with both tongues, because it's speaking from both tongues, that you said that men should do. It's the opposite of what God instructed man to do.
That's what he just said is so beautiful. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Adam was right next.
Okay. This is where things get interesting. This is from here things get really interesting. And for those who know your Bible as well, you can go check out the verse he's about to mention and read it. But like I said, and Anton said, read with context in mind, because it's very important. You can't just read just word for word like that, because no one reads like that. You get me? If you claim to be an intelligent person, you don't just read something like that. You have to understand what words mean, like Anton said. You need to understand what they mean. But we'll get into it.
To Eve, when the serpent gave her the fruit to eat. He was right next to her. Genesis, anybody, Genesis.
This guy's crazy.
Chapter 1. Listen to me. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Can somebody read that for me?
What version?
I'm gonna pull that up. I'm gonna pull that up. Genesis.
What version?
Let's go King James just to keep it. Let's keep it King James just to keep it standard.
And Lano, can we pull that up? Can we pull that up, Lano? Is that possible?
We're no longer allowing men to walk us around circles and sound like they know what they're talking about.
Oh no, you know
Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Can somebody please read?
Listen, we're gonna pull that up.
So okay, so you can see the confidence in Yada. He feels that he's on the right track. He knows exactly what he's talking about. But like I said, we'll get into it.
And listen, shout out to the chat. We're going to pull that up. Genesis chapter 1 through 6. We got 3,300 people in the chat. That's between initiates, NDBA, and the bag chasers all going crazy tonight. And I dropped the poll, guys. We already got 1,200 people chimed in on that poll. Who will win tonight's debate? It's already getting heated. Should men pay 100% of the bills? And it's funny because it's 52% to 48%. So pretty much it's 50-50.
After you read this, I'm going to break down the generational curse. This brother didn't know what he was talking about.
Okay,
but let's do this.
Let's send that link to Lano. Send that link to Lano. I want him to pull that up.
Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and read this joint. Your mic is good. Can you? Okay.
Make sure y'all get y'all hardly initiated cards, too.
So check this out. I'm going to go ahead and start reading this. Lano, go ahead. You going to get that set to Lano to pull it up.
I'm trying to get it to Lano, yeah.
Now, Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat.
Okay, sorry for cutting that, but you heard what he just read. You know that for all the beasts that's in the field that God himself made. So this brings a context with the serpent, because a lot of people have this thing that the serpent is Lucifer or the devil. But as they know that, they call Satan the devil, and Lucifer is evil. He's a fallen angel, but a lot of people think that Lucifer and Satan are the same being, and they are not. They're two completely different beings. Because if you remember from back, even when the Most High sent Satan to even tempt Job, etc. That proves that the devil Satan himself was actually working for the Most High. He went on orders from the Most High. So that means that he's basically like an employee, because the Most High gives him work to do. Satan is there to tempt people. That's what he's there for. He's there to tempt people. Lucifer, on the other hand, he is a completely different being. And a lot of people get this fact misconstrued, but it's not fact, This is just something that we've been taught in school. So we've been taught for generations now. You understand? And it's brought a lot of confusion, especially to us black people. It just brought a lot of confusion. But there's actually evidence there in the Bible. That Lucifer and Satan are two completely different beings. Because even while Satan was on earth roaming, Lucifer himself was actually already casted out. Because if you read in the Bible, it says that Lucifer was actually placed on the mount of God. Not even the fires there could burn him. And that was a very exalted place to be. But the Most High found iniquity in his heart, and he sent a cherubim to cast Lucifer out of heaven. Not to cast Satan out of heaven, to cast Lucifer out of heaven. Because if the Most High cast Satan out of heaven, he would have told us. And he didn't. The only being that we knew that fell from heaven was Lucifer himself. And then it came in Matthew, all of a sudden, this character Jesus came on the scene and basically said that he saw Satan fall from heaven. But that can't be right. That cannot be right, because if something like that was about to happen, we would have evidence of that in the book of remembrance, because that is which we all call like the Old Testament. But Lucifer is the only being that we knew who fell from heaven. And those words actually came from the Most High himself. The Most High himself said that Lucifer was casted out of heaven by a cherubim. But this section is very interesting. And we'll go into what they talk about took place in the garden.
Eat of every tree of the garden. 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall y'all touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
That's correct.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
With her.
That does not, no, that's not what it means.
Read that
that's
again,
not
please.
what it means.
Read that again, please.
That's not
Okay, no, this is where this is where the things start, getting heated. Because as you can see, Yada, he just got up like a point has been proven, but like I said, you have to read the context. You have to know what words mean. He operates off feelings, as you can see. He clearly operates off feelings. Because if you listen to this entire segment, I'll have it in the link below so you can go check it out. You will see that he just operates clearly on feelings.
What it means. Let me read it one more time. Let me read this one more
That's
time.
not what it means, and you know better.
Now you want to change the word.
No,
Pull
it's
it up,
not
Lana.
changing
Pull
the
it up
word.
so
Hold on, wait,
You
wait,
know
wait.
that's not what it
Guys,
means.
hold on, wait, 1 second. 1 second. This is actually chapter 3. I'm reading verse 6 again. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her.
With her.
But see,
With her.
here's the key.
Did
No, here's the key.
Now he want to change the word of God.
Nope, don't overtalk me. She talked to the serpent
Scroll up,
by
Ronald.
herself. She ate from the tree by
Okay, now listen to what Anton is saying here, because he's actually very much on point here, because the context is everything.
herself, and then she took with her, and then dined with her husband.
That's not what it says.
Listen.
That's exactly what it
That
says.
is what happened in the word.
Man.
He wants to, and here's the beautiful part about this, is that he's so stuck on pandering.
Oh man.
He's so stuck. And here's the beautiful part about this, is that regardless of what man that you have, regardless of your covering, he's going to suffer no matter what. He has to pay the price. Men today understand that regardless of whether or not we get you impregnated or not, we still have to be responsible for that. We go to jail regardless.
Okay, here. This is something that's very interesting here that people need to read as well when it comes to context is everything. Because it says in verse 3 here, now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made. Okay, I'm guessing that we're all adults watching this. What does the word crafty means? All right, let's just get into it a little bit. Check on Google. Okay, so as you can see here, crafty means clever, especially in a dishonest or secret way. For example, you might describe someone as being a crafty swindler or a crafty detective. Okay. Like I said, and Anton is on point here. When you're reading stuff, you have to read it with context. This word here, crafty, already told you what kind of creature the serpent was. And the Most High knew that this is the characteristic that described that specific animal. Because the Most High said, this was also a part of the beasts that was already made, that was already inside the garden. This was already one. So it's not as if the serpent entered the garden from outside of the garden. It was already inside the garden, because this was one of the beasts that was actually made. You know, it was one of the beasts that were actually made, and Adam himself named this beast, along with all the other beasts that was in the garden. So the context here and wording of these things, they mean something, and we have to pay attention to it.
Men today understand that regardless of whether or not we get you impregnated or not, we still have to be responsible for that. We go to jail regardless of if we want to take care of that kid or not. If we decide that we don't want to pay child support, even if it's not your child, a woman can put your name on the birth certificate and you will be imprisoned as a result of it. That is just the facts. It's men every single day that go to jail for things that they didn't do. They get accused of things that they didn't do every single day. Meaning that men by default, even back in the word of God, is held accountable for the things that their wife do. But it doesn't absolve the woman from being responsible for her own decisions. It does not absolve her at all. And that's the part of the context that we're missing. We always want to put it on the men. And justifiably so, because men have to be responsible, and you've never seen how great a society is without men being great themselves. But we don't live in that time.
Oh, praises. Now, I want to finish what I was saying about
But I'm going to let him finish.
Thank you so much,
Let's go ahead and get it. Let's go ahead and
thank you
go
so
ahead,
much.
Yada.
Thank you so much. From Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1 through 6.
He just read it.
Listen to me, please. May I speak? That's
You're
feminine.
right. I'm sorry.
I
You're right.
appreciate you so much. Genesis, chapter 3. You read
1
it.
through 6.
Yes,
1
sir.
through 6, right?
That was 1 through
Yep.
6. Yes, sir.
Did it say that Eve walked down the street?
No.
They say she ran.
Come on, man. That's such a weak argument. That's a very weak argument. Come on. I mean, what kind of statement is that? That doesn't make no sense, man.
Ran around the corner. She said she gave it to her husband that was right next to her, meaning
It didn't say right.
It didn't say that, man. It didn't say the husband was right next to her. That's not what it said.
Next to her.
brother that was
you
with her.
pervert the word of God.
Can we read it one more time? It's on the screen.
He didn't say
Can
he
we
was right
place it
next to her.
again?
And
Can we
gave-
place?
Okay, this is where I draw things, into context. Because like he's saying, Adam was basically right next to Eve. But this is the thing. Right? Eve and the serpent was having a conversation. You understand? They were having a conversation about eating the forbidden fruit from the forbidden tree. That Adam himself also knew that you shall not eat from that tree. And the argument is, if Adam is supposed to be, the head, the representation of him and Eve, the representation of his household, that the Most High pretty much gave him over the garden, because the garden is a household, Eve is his wife, and he's the man. So from that context alone, if Adam was there, pretty much like Yada's saying, and this completely disproves his point, and we'll hear what Anton says after. But if Adam was there with Eve while Eve was having a conversation with the serpent, because Yada's saying basically that Adam was right next to Eve. So he's basically standing right next to her. So if Adam was there and he heard the serpent and Eve having this conversation, why was Adam input not ever recorded? Why didn't Adam ever say anything to his wife about the discussion that she was having with the snake? Because we all know from the Bible, the serpent representation here, is a great deceiver. But like I said before, the word crafty, the Most High used this word crafty. So this creature was already known to be of that characteristic. Very crafty, cunning. So dishonest. You basically cannot trust this creature. And this is where the argument comes in as well. Because a lot of people saying that, the serpent was was the devil. Some people say the serpent was Lucifer. You know, they came in and they transformed into the serpent. That's not true. That is not true. I know the reason I say this as well, and this is my belief, the reason I say this. Creatures talked before, and we all know that. I don't know if you know about the story of Balaam, you know, the warlock in the Bible that was sent to curse the children of Israel. Remember Balaam, he was someone who studied, you know, dark arts, dark magic, you know, and the Most High kept an eye on him. Because a lot of kings, you know, came to him to do things to the children of Israel and to inflict, you know, a lot of affliction, etc. But it doesn't work, because in the end, Balaam actually turned from his ways in the end, you know, because he realized he cannot curse, you know, the children of Israel, because the children of Israel is Yahweh's firstborn. Israel is his firstborn, you know? And yeah, so this comes into context with what's going on here, you know, the story of Balaam. Because when Balaam was on his way, you know, to curse the children of Israel, he was riding a donkey. And the Most High sent I think 2 messages to Balaam before, you know, to do not go down there to curse the children of Israel. And he basically disregarded everything the Most High said. So on his journey there, the Most High sent an angel to basically deal with him and stop him right in his tracks. But the thing is, Balaam could not see the angel that was on the path. He could not see the angel. And all of this story is in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. Balaam could not see the angel, but the donkey and animal could. Because, you know, like they say, you know, animals, they can see certain things. You know, you see dogs and cats, and, you know, we see back home, etc. You know, they might be sitting there, and all of a sudden they get up and they look a certain way and they start barking. You're looking everywhere, you can't see nothing. There's nothing there. But, you know, animals, I think they can see through the veil, I think. But that's another topic. But yeah, Balaam could not see the angel, but the donkey could. And Balaam had this donkey for a long time, always took him everywhere. Because, you know, back in those days, you know, people were donkeys everywhere, you know, so he could, like I say, he could not see the angel, but the donkey could. So the donkey now realized what was going on, because he saw the sword, he saw the angel, that angel had the sword and was waiting basically to kill Balaam, because Balaam was meant to be cut in half. That's what was meant to happen. So the donkey itself now started taking detours. You know, he take a detour and then he goes that way and he sees the angel. The angel just appears before the donkey, you know, blocking his path. And the donkey keeps detouring all over the place until at one point he fell over on Balaam's leg. And then Balaam himself got up and started beating the donkey. And this is the key part of the story. The donkey looked at Balaam and spoke to Balaam and asked Balaam, "Whose animal am I?" And Balaam said, "Well, you're mine." And the donkey asked Balaam again, pretty much like, "Why? So why are you inflicting me, you know, with such affliction?" So Balaam is basically saying, you know, you detour and fell on my leg. Now I'm hurt, etc. And we have places to be. So the donkey asked him, "Since the time that we've been together, have I ever done anything like this?" Balaam pretty much said, "Well, no." And what happened after? The angel revealed himself to Balaam. He revealed himself to Balaam. And Balaam got exactly what was going on. That angel was going to take his life. And that animal, because remember, that's also one of the beasts, that animal saved Balaam's life. And Balaam brought down in that story, that animal saved his life. But the funny thing is, When the donkey spoke, Balaam was not surprised. When the donkey spoke, Balaam was not surprised because he knew that that was something that was possible. You know, animals spoke. So him being a warlock, you know, Balaam was seeing things, you know, from the past, present, and future things. Because he dabbled in dark arts, so like say magic, etc., witchcraft. He knew that that was something that was possible. The animals spoke before. So when the donkey started speaking to him, he was not surprised. So this is a context here as well. People always say that, you know, the serpent came down in the garden, or the serpent entered the garden from outside. And it was an angel, it was the angel, as no, Lucifer was the angel, an angel. People are saying that he transformed himself into the serpent. People are saying Satan transformed himself into the serpent. That's not true. Because from what I just said, and this is in the Bible, you can check it, the donkey spoke to Balaam. That there alone told you that the beasts could speak. And you know, the serpent was a serpent that was actually in the garden already made. This serpent was named by Adam. And it was like I say, it was crafty, cunning. You know, because all beasts that was made, they have their own characteristics. But people are saying because Satan is a tempter, that Satan was the one that was there tempting Eve. I don't think that's true. I think the serpent spoke because the serpent is a serpent. You know, that's what he is. He's a serpent. He's very cunning. He's very crafty. He's something that cannot be trusted. And the serpent, people say, no, the snake. The snake was not always crawling on its stomach. That's not what that beast was. It was not always crawling on its stomach. The serpent had legs before. Because further on in Genesis, after the section that the first time they pull up, further on in Genesis, you will see that the Most High put a curse on the serpent, that it will now crawl on its belly. That tells you that the serpent was not crawling on its belly before, which is not a snake. That's not how they looked originally when they were created. You know, but getting back on topic here, what Yada is saying is that Adam was right next to Eve when the conversation was being held with the serpent. Logically, how can that even be true? Do you understand? How can that be true? Because if that were the case, then Adam himself would have committed a great sin. Because he knew that his wife was being tempted to do something like that right in front of him, and he didn't even say anything about it, didn't have an input or anything about it. I mean, logically, that doesn't make any kind of sense. That Adam was right next to Eve when the conversation was being held. If that were the case, then why is the snake only talking to Eve? The snake would be speaking to both of them, not just Eve. Because like Yada is saying, Adam was right there. But words come into play here that tells you that that's not true. You know, she and the serpent had a conversation elsewhere. But they had a conversation by the tree. And like I said, you know, the fruits on the tree was very pleasing to the eyes. You know, very pleasing to the eyes. And she ate it, and her mind was opened up. Like I said, she became like God. She now knows, you know, right and wrong. You know, sin and righteousness. But still, she took the fruit after she had the conversation with the serpent and tasted the fruit. She then took the fruit to her husband. She took the fruit to her husband. Adam was not standing right there next to her. She had a conversation with the serpent. She ate the fruit. Then, like he said, he that eateth off that, you know, that tree, I eateth the fruit of that tree, they will become like gods themselves. Because they will not now know sin and righteousness, right and wrong, pride, etc. All of that will be creeped up in them, creeped up in their heart pretty much. So, like I said, the context here is very, very interesting. You have to use context when you're reading, stuff like this. Because she ate the fruit, she gained all that knowledge, etc. And then she took the fruit and brought it to her husband. She didn't look and say, hey, honey, here's a piece of fruit. No, she brought the fruit to Adam. That clearly indicates that Adam was not there during the conversation with Eve and the serpent. He was not there at all. So Yada's point here, he has no point. And like Anton keeps saying, he just keeps pandering and he's getting emotional and he's just talking all about feelings. Everyone's entitled to their feelings, but your feelings going to get you nowhere. Especially in a debate like this. Because it's just feelings. That's not, he's acting as if he knows what he's talking about. And he's bringing very simple kind of thinking. The serpent was already in the garden. There was actually angels guarding the garden, the gates of the garden. But because Adam was already in the garden, Eve was already in the garden, the serpent was already in the garden. So what happened after all of that transpired? The Most High put a cherubim directly where the tree was situated. With swords of fire. A cherubim was placed directly where the tree was situated. And the sword was so, like I say, so magnificent, we can't even comprehend. It was a sword of fire, and it covered each corner of the garden. So nothing at all could get near this tree. You know what? Let's get back into the video.
He said she talked to the serpent by herself.
1 minute,
he
brother.
was not there.
Brother, 1 minute, brother,
So check
please.
it out. I got it. It says, and gave also. She took.
Also.
She took.
Also.
of the
Brother,
fruit-
brother.
She
Thank
took
you.
of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her.
So you're going to ignore also?
With her.
He did
You're going to
eat.
ignore also?
Can you read it again? Because I don't know
I didn't see anywhere.
English from.
I didn't see anywhere in that
Where'd you
scripture
learn your English?
where it said that Adam was
let me
there
finish,
while
brother.
she was having a
Let me finish.
conversation.
I understand
and when she
you don't
picked-
like to be
and when
proven
she
wrong. I
picked the
got
fruit
you.
off of the
We gotta,
tree.
we gotta have one
I didn't
mic.
see that.
We gotta have one mic, guys, just so because we
I'ma
gotta
finish. Thank you
we,
so
what, We
much.
gotta
So
get
let's get
context
it.
on
So
this.
Genesis 1 through 6.
Right. First, I want to say, Antoine, I love you. And I'm glad that you came here to speak with me today. We don't have to get emotional, over talk, yell. It's not about proving points. Bro, we're going to show facts. That's it. You said talking points, right? You said we couldn't go into context. Now, as we see, when a man leaves a woman unprotected, she doesn't just get hurt. Her family beneath her gets hurt. Now we're going to step into what.
Here he goes again, pandering to a woman's feelings. You get me? I mean, he's not saying anything here of substance. I mean, this is common sense. This is just common knowledge. There's nothing here of substance what you're saying.
The brother was talking about generational curses. The generational curse fell on the sons. You okay, brother? I thought you were having a
listening.
seizure. Your neck was moving a little bit. You okay?
I'm listening.
Just making sure you're okay.
Because you're doing the common
Bro, no, brother,
But go
please,
ahead.
please, brother.
Come
Thank
on,
you so
man.
much. I love you, brother, really. When Adam and Eve, Adam is the head over woman. God is the head over man. When Adam ate, God came to him, and I'll give you a check if you want to, because I know I like to go back, and this is what I do. He ate of the fruit. Like the brother said, he was naked. God came to him and said, why are you hiding? He said, I'm naked. He said, who told you you're naked? Yes or no? You agree with that part? Thank you so much for agreeing. He then asked him, who told you you were naked? He said, the woman that you gave me the fruit, and I ate. He took no responsibility over that woman. Now this turns into a generational curse.
Okay, now listen to what you just said. The Most High asked that question, who told you you were naked? And he answered the Most High honestly. He answered the Most High honestly. What do you expect Adam to do? Lie? Or just take responsibility and say, okay, you know what? I took the fruit from the tree and ate it. And my wife also ate it. That's a lie. Remember, this is actually in the garden. He's speaking to the Most High himself. You know? And you basically talking about Adam did not take any responsibility. He has nothing to take responsibility for. He spoke the truth to the Most High himself. He spoke the truth. And this comes down to another thing that this brother is, I find it really, troubling behavior. This is something that even a lot of modern women lack today, accountability for anything. They can't take responsibility for their actions. And you think that because the man was there and the man ate, she is the one who gave him the fruit to eat. The Most High came down and asked him who told him he was naked. And he answered the Most High honestly. That is the way things are supposed to be. Operate on honesty. Even in relationships today, we see it all the time, If you can't be honest with your partner, there's no point in being in a relationship. Because you start lying about even the smallest things. You start lying about the smallest trivial things. Adam had nothing there to take responsibility for. And I don't know if you all agree, just let me know down in the comments. But Adam had nothing to take responsibility for. The Most High asked him a direct question and he answered the Most High honestly. And he was also punished for what took place. But he still answered honestly. Because Adam did not know where the fruit came from that he ate. He wasn't there to see that the fruit was picked from that tree. And this comes into the same argument I'm saying. Adam could not have been there when the serpent and Eve was having that conversation. He couldn't have been there because if he was, he would have known what he was doing. He would have known the sin that they were about to commit. And him being the head, logically speaking, he wouldn't have let something like that happen. If the serpent and Eve had that conversation and Adam was there and heard that conversation, he would have been a part of that conversation. Because according to Yada, Adam wasn't down the street or nothing, he was standing right there next to Eve, when the conversation was happening. Nowhere in the Bible, in Genesis, in those verses, nowhere does it say Adam was right next to Eve, that he was standing there right next to her. He's taking the thing out of context when he says she brought the fruit and they basically dined together. That's basically what he's saying, that he's just taking that verse completely out of context. And Anton is completely on point here. That's not what the book says. You need to learn to read words. That's not what it says. He's just pandering to women and their feelings. And as long as you have brothers like this around, pandering to women, they'll always be successful. Because women don't like to take accountability for anything. I mean, majority of the time, they can't even apologize even though they know they're wrong. I mean, come on, brother. You have to use intelligence in certain things. You can't just say, just because the Bible said this, then, Adam wasn't down the road. He was right there next to someone. But there was no input or anything from Adam when he knew his wife was about to commit the greatest sin of all. And this, I don't know if you all agree with this statement, but let me know down in the comments. This right here, what happened between Eve and the serpent and Adam. This here is the greatest sin that has ever taken place on this earth. That is the greatest sin because that is the start. That right there is the start of the downfall of mankind. That's that interaction right there between the conversation, the serpent, and Adam eating. That right there is the greatest sin that was ever committed.
Which goes down to Cain and Abel. When a man leaves a woman unprotected, we're going to see death in high numbers as we do right now.
Yeah, because another thing as well, what you're saying about generational curses, that is exactly where it started. This is where the generational curse started. And we've seen it in the Bible many times as when Israel rebels against the Most High always sends a nation to come and punish Israel. Whether they start cursing the Most High, worshiping false idols, like their golden calf, building monuments, for example, like even in Babylon, Tower of Babel, when the Most High scattered their tongues. So as people are speaking to each other, couldn't even understand what each other was saying. Every time Israel rebelled against the Most High sends a nation to come and punish Israel. Like I said, it's all there in the book.
Detroit, Chicago, New York, they're even rapping about it, calling it drill music. But if young men had fathers in their lives that could elevate them, love their mothers, appreciate their mothers, guide their mothers, because when a man loves a woman, the children will be protected. But when a woman has to pick up the slack of a man and become a man, more masculine in her approach with her sons, the boy turns into something other than himself. And now we're seeing murder at high numbers. We're still going through the sins of Adam not being a provider and a teacher, because a provider isn't just financial.
What is he talking about, man? Let me make sure I heard that correctly just now. I have to make sure I heard that correctly.
Teacher, because a provider isn't just financial. Going through the sins of Adam not being a provider and a...
Yes, I did hear it correctly. You know what he just said? Basically saying Adam was not being a provider because of the event that I just discussed that took place in the garden between Eve and the serpent. Logically, how can you even bring such an argument? Because let's take this hypothetical. Adam was busy doing something, whether it was tending to animals or doing something at home or doing something else in the garden, or off somewhere else in the garden, for example, right? Eve would be somewhere else doing something else in the garden, So she's there and she so happens upon the serpent. And the serpent did what he did. He tempted Eve because he's cunning, crafty, and untrustworthy. But he tempted Eve. Adam had no control over that. The beast was already in the garden. The serpent was made in the garden. Adam named that serpent because the serpent, all the beasts that was actually there in the garden was made before Eve herself was actually made. Because a lot of people don't even know who Eve is. The female spirit. A lot of people don't know who the female spirit is. The female spirit was there with the Most High on the day of creation. That's when the Most High says, let us make man in our image. A lot of people take it to me that he's talking to Jesus. No. Because this is actually there in Proverbs. I know who the female spirit is because the Most High told us who the female spirit is. The female spirit was there in creation. She was there at creation. That female spirit is the spirit that the Most High was speaking to when the Most High said, let us make man in our image. Because when it says in our image, just remember this, when it says in our image, there's someone else there that the Most High is speaking about. A male in the image of the Most High and a female spirit. Wisdom is the female spirit that was there in the beginning with the Most High. And it tells us specifically in the book that wisdom was there at creation with the Most High. In heaven. It tells us that in heaven, the wisdom was there with the Most High when the Most High was creating. But if you want me to go into like a small video about this, I will. Just let me know down in the comments.
A teacher, because a provider isn't just financial. Providing is emotionally, mentally, spiritually, intellectually. This is what a provider is. And when a man's unable to do that, we see what's going on. Young girls not knowing how to choose a man, and men speaking down to women. This is what's going on. This is the sin of Adam, not the sin of Eve. But you men believe that.
You know, Adam was punished not for eating the fruit, but to hearkening unto the voice of the woman. That's why he don't understand. See, he'll move the goalposts and start talking about drill music and all of this other nonsense. That's not true. Let me tell you something. God punished her. He punished her first. He punished the woman. He didn't punish the man because of the woman. He punished the man for hearkening unto the voice of the woman. And that's the context. How can you sit there and say, because she wasn't provided for and protected, when at that time, before sin was committed, God was the provider and the protector? So did she sin against her husband or did she sin against God?
Are you asking a question?
Yes, that's a question.
She sins in both.
Did she sin against her husband or did she sin against God?
Both.
Well, that would make you a hypocrite. That would make you contradictory because
How?
I'm gonna explain to you how.
Please.
Because you said that she wasn't provided and protected for. God had gave them everything that they could ever need.
Right there. Right there. And this, what Anton just said, ends the debate about on this particular segment. Ends the debate. The Most High gave them everything they could possibly need. So I don't understand Yada's point. He has no point. The Most High gave them everything they need. Every single thing. And she still went and did what she did. Even though she knew that it wasn't supposed, that the Most High set it in accordance that it's not supposed to be done. She still went and did what she did. And like I said, this ends the debate right here. There's nothing else Yada can say that can refute what Anton is saying.
Their responsibility was to make sure that they listened to God and did what he's supposed to do. They only had one rule.
That's beautiful, brother.
There was only one rule, not to eat from that fruit.
Hallelujah. Exactly. Just that one rule that the Most High gave them in the garden. Do not eat from that fruit. Don't touch that tree. They have everything else that they needed. They had everything else they needed. You know, to have a nice family, you know, to go and procreate and create life, you know, populate the earth. They have everything that they needed. And like I said, this is the greatest sin that was ever committed in human history since we were created on this planet. This is the greatest sin that was ever committed. This sin is even greater than murder because all of this, everything that transpired on this planet started from here. That's if you believe in the creation. Everything started from here.
That's it.
That wasn't it.
That was the rule.
No, it wasn't.
That was the rule.
No, it wasn't.
And they sinned against God. They were punished as a result of it. Okay. So for you to say that she wasn't protected and provided for is a lie, because then that would mean that you convicting God.
Yeah, man. Shout out to these brothers, man. You know, this was a very good debate. Like I said, this was just one part.
We're talking, yeah, it's not a...
You know, this was just one part of the segment. I think it was like a 2.5 hour segment. There's quite a few topics that was discussed. But yeah, like I said, Adam, Eve had everything they wanted and everything they needed in the garden. They had everything basically to populate the earth. You know, and all of this transpired to the point that even animals stopped talking. And we haven't heard of an animal talking until the story with Balaam and when the donkey spoke to Balaam. That was the last time we actually heard like an animal actually talking, only the beast speaking. And it was such a deep, strong, it was such a deep, strong moment in the Bible actually when the donkey spoke to Balaam. Because that donkey has been with Balaam for a long time, many, many years, always been loyal to Balaam. Hence why the Most High loosed the lips and the tongue of the donkey and let the donkey speak to Balaam. To ask Balaam why is he inflicting harm on him when he was just saving his life. And like I said, when Balaam realized what was happening, because the angel revealed himself to Balaam and told him that he was about to die if it wasn't for this donkey. And it's a very, very strong emotional kind of story when you look at it from a deeper perspective. You know, look at it on a deeper level. I think right there, that is the moment that changed things with Balaam. That incident that took place right there, that's what changed everything with Balaam. To the point that Balaam actually ended up blessing the children of Israel that he was sent to curse. Yeah, like I said, no, this was a great debate. I said it's a very long segment. It was like 2.5 hours. There's like five other segments that they had, because I think they chopped it into pieces. But yeah, it's a very interesting. I just thought I'd bring this to you guys. You know, just let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button. Peace.